to start from goals, right?
Yes, ma'am. We wrote till just the heading of the equity, this thing. Till that
So
we wrote.
just written the goals, the names.
Yes, ma'am. And the planners have to balance the goals.
Something about goals as well, right?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Oh, so now we'll start. The first one is growth. Okay, so ma'am, what is growth? So growth refers to increase in countries' capacity to produce the output of goods and services within the country. So basically, for example, if you are producing 10 kg of sugar, okay, and now you are going to produce 20 kg. So of course your production is increased, and because of that, for this 10 kg you are getting 100 rupees. For 20 kg you will be getting 200 rupees. So somewhere it is your growth, right? So basically, what is growth? Growth refers to increase in country's capacity. Earlier, your capacity was to produce 10 kg. Now you can produce 20 kg. So growth refers to increase in country's capacity to produce the output of goods and services within the country. Okay.
Okay.
Now, this is the growth. So now basically what growth means, large stock of productive capital. You need capital, then only you can produce large amount of things. You need large supporting services like transport, banking and all that. Okay, because for example, if you are producing 20 kg, now you need to export it. You need transport, banking and all that, because whatever money will be coming, you need the banking system for that as well, right? Next, an increase in efficiency of productive capital and services. So your efficiency should be increased. In productive capital, like in producing capital as well as services, your efficiency should be increased. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So first you will write growth, then you will write growth, and you will write growth implies these 3 points. And okay, let me just finish it, then you can write everything. Now basically what happened, a good indicator of economic growth is steady increase in GDP. Okay, so for example, if your GDP is increasing, right, for example, the GDP of India is 20 and the GDP of Saudi is 40. So you can, just by comparing GDP, you can say that, okay, Saudi economy is growing, right? Why? Because the GDP is more, right? So now, ma'am, what is GDP? So GDP is basically gross domestic product. Okay, and what is gross domestic product? The GDP is the market value of all the goods and services produced in a country. For example, you produce this necklace. Okay, the cost was 20 rupees in the market, and similarly, you produce this necklace in Saudi. The cost was 40 rupees. Okay, so that means if the cost of the product is more, the market value is more, then that means your GDP will be more, because that money only you will be getting. For example, you sold four necklace. Okay, so you got 160 rupees. Okay, similarly over here you sold 4 necklace, but you only get 80 rupees. Right, so in total this is your GDP and this is Saudi GDP. Right, so you can compare the Saudi GDP is more. Why? Because the market value of the product was higher. That's why you sold 4. Saudi economy sold 4. Similarly, Indian economy. But you can see overall the total amount of money they got was higher. Because of that, the GDP was also higher. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So second point, after that you will just give it a line and you will say a good indicator of economic growth. How you will get to know that there is an economic growth? By comparing if there is an increase in GDP, then you can say there is an economic growth. Then you will write in bracket GDP definition. Okay.
Yes.
So it is necessary to produce more goods and services if the people of India are to enjoy more rich and this. Okay, the GDP of countries derived from different sector of an economy. So from where GDP is derived? GDP of a country is derived from different sector of an economy, namely the agriculture, industrial, service. So in total, we are making a table like this, that okay, from industrial sector we got 50 rupees, from agriculture sector we got 30 rupees, from service sector we got 10 rupees. So in total, we have 55, 6, 7, 8, 90 rupees. Okay.
Okay.
So, okay. So this is what your growth is, and how you're going to compare it. You're going to compare it with the help of GDP. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. And now we will compare the GDP. Okay. Then you will again give it a heading like this, GDP. So, ma'am, what is GDP? Basically, you already know what is GDP, right? So this is a table. In from 1950 to 1951, the table was like this. From 1990 to 1991, you can see the agriculture. The agriculture was just a minute. The agriculture was this, and this is this. Okay, you can see the contribution was more. Here you can see it decreased. The contribution of industry was less, but it increased. Service, it was this, it increased. Okay.
Yes.
Over here, it's written like this only. In India, the share of agriculture of GDP was more than 50%, as we could expect from the poor country. But 1990s, it became 40-90, and then it increased somehow. So you're not going to write everything about it. You're just going to make this table. You'll get to know it, right?
Yes.
So here, we complete our first goal. So you'll write first growth, then this, that growth implies. Then you're going to write, this is your second point about growth. That a good indicator of economic growth is GDP, then definition, then the GDP, this point. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And then the table. Then you'll give a heading, sectoral contribution to GDP, this. Okay?
Ma'am.
Ma'am, can you explain that again?
Yeah,
That,
hi.
that second point.
Yeah, okay. Second point, this one. Okay, I'll just explain everything. Growth is basically, for example, earlier you were producing, just give me 1 minute. Growth refers to increase in country capacity to produce the output of goods and services within the countries. For example, earlier you were producing 10 kg, now you are producing 20 kg. Okay, so this is your growth. That okay, earlier, for example, if you will sell 10 kg, how much you will get? You will get 100 rupees. But if you will sell 20 kg, you will get 200 rupees. Right? So this is your growth. That earlier, for example, earlier you were getting 10 out of 20. Now you are getting 19 out of 20. So this is your growth. So similarly, if the capacity to produce increase, that is a growth. Now, what growth is required? First of all, if you want to increase your production, you need large stock of productive capital, like the capital like machines and all that. And second, you need services like transport and banking. Because if you produce 10 kg of sugar, you need to transport it to sell. Plus, whatever money will be credited to your account, you need banking system elsewhere. Next, an increase in efficiency of productive capital and services. That efficiently you should use your capital and services. That also required. And now the next thing is that, ma'am, how we will calculate the growth. So in terms of GDP, right? So growth, a good indicator of economic growth is steady increase in GDP, which is the market value of the good and product. So this is GDP is nothing. It is basically, for example, this is the necklace you produce. So what is the market value of this product? So this is the GDP. Okay. And from where you will get the GDP? The GDP of a country is derived from different sector of an economy, like agriculture sector, industrial sector, and service sector. So if you want to calculate the GDP of a country, then you will write from industrial sector you got 50, from agriculture you got 30, from this you got 10. Okay, and this is a comparison of India's contribution to GDP. Agriculture sector was contributing 59, but when we came to 1991, it was 30. It came down. Industry, it was less, it came more. Service, it was less, it came more. Clear? So first point you will write growth, then this, then this. Then you're going to write this GDP, the definition of GDP, then this point. Then you're going to draw the table. Clear?
Okay, I got it.
Okay. Both the girls got it?
Yes, ma'am. Done, ma'am.
Can you scroll down?
Done? This one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in this only till service sector, right?
Yes.
Ma'am, only till service sector?
You have to write this first,
Yeah.
then this GDP, then this point. The GDP of a country is derived from different sector till here, service sector.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay. We'll wait for Hasima.
Done.
Then just write hashtag sectoral contribution to GDP and then this.
Only these numbers.
Yeah, just draw the right sectors and 1950 this, the entire table.
Okay.
Done, ma'am.
Done.
Halima, done?
Yes, done.
So basically, this is a graphical representation, sorry, pie diagram, okay, where you can see 59 is agriculture, 28 is service and industries, 13, and here it changed, okay. Now coming to second one, which is modernization. Okay, so ma'am, what is modernization? So adaptation of new technology in the production of goods and services to increase the output is called modernization. So modernization is basically adopting new technology. Why you are adopting new technology? To increase your output. For example, earlier with the outdated machine, you were able to produce 10 shoes. But now with the new technology, latest technology, you can produce 20 shoes. Okay, at a time. So adaptation of new technology in production of goods and services to increase the output is called modernization. Okay, clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Also, you'll write it down, modernization.
Done, ma'am.
Done.
Okay. This is just an example. Let's just do this. You don't have to write it. Just I'll just explain it. For example, a factory can increase the output by using a new type of machine. Okay. However, modernization does not refer only to use of new technology, but also to change the social outlook, such as recognition that women should have the same right. See, you also need to change your perspective. That means you have to become modern, right? Earlier, there was a thought that women cannot work and women should not go for work, right? They are only they are to work in a home like this. But in a traditional society, women are supposed to remain at home while when men work. A modern society makes use of talent of women in the workplace, in bank, factory, school, etc. As such a society, it most prosperous, right? So it is modernization does not mean only technology. They means your mindset as well. So you have to make your mindset modern, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, third is self-reliance. So, ma'am, what is self-reliance? So, self-reliance means avoiding import of those goods which can be produced in India itself, right? So, basically, for example, earlier we were importing everything from foreign countries, right? Because we didn't have any resources. So, self-reliance now means that you are going to import those goods which can be produced in India itself, right? So, you are going to avoid those imports. Like you are not going to purchase those goods from foreign countries that India can produce, right? Now, basically, this policy was considered necessary in order to reduce our dependence on the foreign countries, especially for food. Okay. It is understood that people who are recently freed from foreign domination should be given importance to self-reliance. Further, it was feared that dependence on imported food supplies, foreign technologies, and foreign capital may make India's sovereignty vulnerable to foreign interference in our policy. Now, this is very important. First is, ma'am, self-reliance. Okay, so ma'am, self-reliance means that you need to avoid the goods from those goods which you can produce in India itself, right? Now the question is why self-reliance is important. So this policy was considered a necessity. Why? Because we want to reduce the dependence. Earlier, India was dependent for everything on foreigners, right? So first, we want to reduce the dependence on foreign countries, especially for food. Okay, in the previous chapter, you did na that India was importing everything from foreign countries, like the food as well as the finished good, right? So this first point, and second, it was feared. Like Indians were feared that see if we will import food supply, foreign technology, and foreign capital, okay, that will affect the India sovereignty. Sovereignty means we are the head. Okay, why? Because for example, if I am giving you food, okay, I am giving you food to eat. So for example, today I made something which you don't like, but somehow I'll be saying, if you want to eat this, eat it, otherwise it's your choice, right? Somewhere I will try to interfere. For example, whatever you are doing, I'll try to interfere in your matter, because somewhere I'll be thinking that you people are dependent on me. Okay, whatever, for example, you are watching TV, then I'll be saying, why you are watching TV, uh, go and study, right? So somewhere, because you people are dependent on me, so I will think that I have that right to interfere in your policies, right? Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
Yes.
you'll write third, self-reliance, and then you'll write self-reliance means avoiding imports from those goods. Still here, write it down. Then I will just let you know what you have to write.
Done, ma'am.
Done.
Okay. Now you are going to write why self-reliance policy was adopted. Okay. So you'll write first point. Okay. Till here. And second point, the entire second. Okay. Question is why self-reliance policy is important. Why self-reliance policy is IMP important.
Done, ma'am.
Done.
Okay. Now the last goal is equity. Okay, so ma'am, what is equity? Equity means to ensure that the benefit of economic prosperity reach to poor section as well instead of being enjoyed only by the rich. For example, in a country, rich people enjoy lots of benefits, right? But poor people didn't enjoy any benefits. So equity means you have to ensure. Ensure means you have to make sure that the benefit of economic prosperity. For example, India economy is growing. So the prosperity is basically the richness. So whatever money India is getting, you should make sure that in economic prosperity reach the poor section as well, instead of being enjoyed only by the rich people. Clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Done.
Done, ma'am. Done, ma'am.
Okay. Now, basically, we'll same in the previous sector, like we did agriculture sector, then we'll do industrial sector and all that. Okay, clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So now
Yeah.
the question is, what was the policy? Because of course, agriculture sector there was low productivity, nothing was good. So what were the major initiatives took, like we Indian government took in agriculture sector? So first is land reform. Okay. Now the question is, ma'am, why there was a need of land reform in the agriculture sector? Okay, so why? At the time of independence, the land tenure system was characterized by intermediaries, means like the zamindar and all that, who merely collected rent from actual tiller of the soil without contributing toward the improvement of the farm. The first problem was that at the time of independence, there was a land, you can say zamindari, zagirdari system, right? And these people like the zamindar and the zagirdar, they used to collect rent from the actual tiller. Tillers means basically the peasants or the farmers. Okay. So of the soil without contributing. See, they used to collect tax, but they never contributed in the growth of the or the improvement of the farm or the agriculture sector. Right. So this was the first reason. Second, the low productivity of agriculture sector forced India to import food from Australia or UK, USA. Sorry, America, United States of America. Right. Third, to bring equity in agriculture sector called for land reform. Okay. To bring agriculture equity in agriculture sector, land reform was introduced. So first, why land reform was needed? First, that at the time of independence, at this time of independence, the land tenure system was characterized by intermediaries. Intermediaries means variously called zamindars, and or you can write at the time of independence, the land tenure system controlled by was controlled by zamindars and zagirdars. Okay, clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes.
who merely collected rent from actual you can write peasant and farmer of the soil without contributing towards improvement on the farms. Okay, this is the first point. Second, low productivity of agriculture sector forced India to import food from USA, which is United States of America. Third, to bring equity in agriculture sector. Okay, these were the three reasons. That's why we called for the land reform. To bring to bring. Okay. Now, how
Yes.
you will write? First, you will write agriculture sectors. Okay, agriculture sector. Or you can write major policy initiatives in agriculture sector. And you'll write first land reform. And then you'll write hashtag why need for land reform in agriculture. Or you can write why there was a need of land reform in agriculture sector. Then first point, then second and third.
Ma'am, we should write to USA.
Yes, you can write USA.
Okay, done.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. I hope where you have written land reform, you have the space, right? Yes, like the space like this. After land reform, you have space.
No. About
No, no,
what?
I'm not talking about the like other line. I'm talking in the same line. You have the space, right?
Yes.
What about Sanya?
No, ma'am.
No. So how you have written? You have written land reforms.
Yes, ma'am. Land reforms, then dash, and then need for land reforms. And then,
Okay. So here only you have written a need for land reform.
yes.
Okay. Then you can again give a heading land reform and just write land reform refers to change in ownership of a land holding. Okay.
Okay.
So land reform refers to, if Harima you don't have space, you can also write it like the definition of land reform. Land reform means changing the ownership of a land holding and fixing the maximum size of land which can be owned by an individual. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Just don't write this one. Just write land reform refers to change in ownership of a land holding. That's it.
Done.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Next you will write land ceiling. Okay. You know the what is ceiling? You have the ceiling in your room, right? Room
Yes.
ceiling,
Yes.
right? So that means, for example, this is a room, this is the ceiling, right? You have fan over here. So this means that this is the limit. You cannot go beyond this, right? This is the limit of your room and you cannot go beyond that, right? So land ceiling means fixing the maximum size of land. So for example, if I said that you can have this much of land, not more than that. Okay. So when I will fix the maximum size of land which could be owned by an individual. For example, I said an individual can only get or only own can only own this much land. So maybe you can own the land like this, 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 or the entire one land. Okay, so basically, for example, you can have 5 plots, 6 plots, 7 plots like this. So I'll be fixing a certain limit that okay, that you can have the maximum number of lands, this much of land. Okay. So second will be land ceiling, fixing the maximum number of lands which could be owned by a individual. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Done, ma'am.
Done.
Okay. Now basically, okay, we need to start this, but I need to continue. Okay, we have time. So basically, types of land reform implemented in the agriculture. So what types of land reform was introduced? First, abolition of intermediaries, right? The abolition of intermediaries means some 200 lakh tenants means the peasant, came into direct contact with the government, and thus they were freed from being exploited by the zamindar. So earlier, what was happening? The agriculture sector, zamindar were handling, right? They used to take tax and they were doing nothing. But now, if I remove this system, then there are no zamindar. Then the people who are working over here, they'll come directly in the contact of government, right? So first, abolition of intermediaries. The abolition of intermediaries means that 200 lakh tenants came directly into contact with government. They were thus freed from being exploited by the zamindars. Okay, now they were free that they won't be exploited by the zamindar. Second, the ownership of the land. The ownership of the land. Okay, the policy of land to the tillers. Tillers means basically the farmers. Okay, now the this policy came that the person who are working on the field, right? They will own the land. So the policy of land to the tiller is based on the idea that the cultivator will take more interest. They will have more incentive in increasing the output if they are the owner of the land. Okay, for example, this is your room and this is your friend's room. If you are going to clean the room, you will be cleaning your room in a very good way. But as you know, this is your friend's room. You are not going to do that. You are not going to put that much efforts, right? So similarly, why this policy was adopted? Because it thought that if land is given to the cultivators in which they are working, if that will belong to them only, so they will work in a good way and they will take more interest in working, and because of that output will be increased, right? If they becomes the owner of the land. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Next is land ceiling. Okay. So basically, the purpose of land ceiling was another policy to pursue equity in the agriculture sector. So here you will write land ceiling means fixing the maximum size of land which can be owned by an individual. The purpose of land ceiling was to reduce the concentration of land ownership in a few hands. So basically, why land ceiling was introduced? Because at that time, what used to happen? What one individual he will have 10 lands. Okay. On the other hand, there were few people who don't have even a single land. So right. So if I will make a policy of land ceiling that everyone can have maximum five lands. So of course, it will not like the ownership of the land won't be concentrated in few hands or the few rich people. Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So first you will write okay. Hashtag types of land reform implemented in the agriculture sector. First this and everything you'll write. Then second and then third. Okay.
Yes. Mom, done. Mom, only till land, right?
Pardon?
Mom, only till land, right?
Yeah, till land.
Mom, can you scroll down? Mom, can you scroll down? Done, Mom.
Finish.
Okay. Sana done?
Yes, Mom, done.
Okay. So in next class